For over half a century, the cover of Sports Illustrated has been a fixture on American newsstands. For athletes, being on the cover of Sports Illustrated means they've reached a pinnacle in their sport. And to the editors, the cover they choose is more than a gimmick to get circulation numbers.
In the economics of the business of Sports Illustrated, newsstand sale is not very important, but I use it as a measure of vitality of the magazine so that I can tell whether we're doing things that are surprising or not.
The magazine's deadline is Monday at 7 p.m.
Now, the last thing is, when will we see some of those pictures?
This morning, today, this afternoon.
Okay.
This week, the major sports stories were the college basketball regional playoffs, known as March Madness, and congressional hearings on steroids in baseball.
The steroids is the most important story in sports right now. Sports Illustrated cannot ignore that. Sports Illustrated has to be, to a degree, the conscience of sport. I'm pretty much committed to a steroids cover because that's the news. It's the right thing to do. So I asked Steve to shoot something from the back, a player like McGuire with his hand up facing the flag, but of course we didn't have that.
On Monday of last week,
Yeah.
Terry's vision of the cover was Ollie North.
Ollie,
you know,
right.
with the
That
chandeliers,
classical,
and, you know, and
and looking like he's going to shoot.
But I think we'll come up with something that out of that, and I think we'll do a lot of type on this cover.
The original idea was always to put steroids on the cover out of the hearings, and to take that and to see how we would open the story. Initially we wanted to open the story with an illustration, but it looks like that illustration has made its way to the cover.
Friday evening, the art department is showing director of photography Steve Fine their first cover mock-ups. They want to use a photo illustration, a composite of different pictures, instead of a news photo.
Okay, this is not what we showed him last time. We didn't show him head-on from home plate Wrigley Field. He doesn't do concepts. He does what's in front of him.
He didn't even look at details, believe me.
So what we tried to capture in the photo illustration, and in some ways, if we had all the time in the world, maybe somebody would have painted this, okay? But the reason we're going this way is that we wanted to give it a little bit more of a hard edge without it being, painting sometimes take away from the seriousness of the story, and we wanted to keep it photographic, because the story is hardcore. So we went looking through some books. We did what everybody else does. We did a little research on pictures and illustrations, and the art director spent like a whole day last week looking at things, and he found something that he liked as an idea, and then we brought in a guy who shoots environments, a photographer named Stephen Wilkes, posed the idea to him, he came up with some thoughts, and then we started looking for stadiums to shoot it, and it being the winter time right now, a lot of things in the Northeast are covered with snow, so we ended up having to send them to California.
You know what I mean?
Wilkes had used photos from 4 different stadiums in different parts of the country to illustrate the look the editors wanted.
Seeing the lights and the green and everything. But there's something, but this I think really does make the stand.
Oh, it does.
You know, doesn't that say it? Yeah. So, we'll see. You know what I feel like? That black.
The illustration he compiled was scheduled to run with the story inside the magazine.
Because the logo is going to sit right over top.
For cover, you mean?
For the cover.
Really?
Possible. Oh, we're gonna mock it up for a
You're
cover.
gonna mock it up? I love that.
So I mean,
I didn't know that. I didn't know it was a cover. You know what we could do then? If you want, we could do a version where, see these?
Yep.
Drop them down.
Well, that's
Would that
what I'm
help
trying
you?
to think of, like.
We could also scooch it down a little further.
Well, you're gonna have a problem with this on the cover.
Well, no, because it might work where if it stays on the cover, it would give us another room for, because there's gonna be another billing. But so Bobby's gonna put one on the network now, and I'm gonna just throw it in a cover template, just to see where things get positioned.
Do you have it at night when there's that glow from the lights on the field, that early twilight green?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, and they unfortunately wouldn't do that for us, but they said if we could come up with $40,000.
Can we do it?
Turn the lights on.
No, can we?
Darken the sky.
Darken.
No, can we?
Make it
Can
twilight.
A little orange in there.
Let's get Bobby in here. I mean, we have no objection to doing it.
This is a really interesting, good try for us, and I think it'll probably work. I just am sort of interested in if we had that that, you know, wouldn't be quite so. I don't know what I'm going to do here now, and it's flat, right? And I can't put a. I'm not sure about what a headline. I mean,
Well, you could also, extend.
no. I mean,
if you like the.
let's get this in a cover.
We walked out of the room with Stephen Wilkes' photo illustration being liked a lot and wanting to be tweaked, and then Gary's story arrives. It's all about memories and this and that, and Terry's reading it, and we're typing the thing onto the cover because it's just going to be words on the cover with this beautiful illustration.
Now that we know, question mark. Same way that this has a danger of not being a very effective cover because it's not. It's almost too contrived, so we're fighting that at the same time. You know what I mean? Well, I guess when we fool around with this and we see what else we can do here, maybe we can see. It would be nice if it was really is more beautiful.
I hear what you're saying. When you get to a twilight game and you see the green grass and
or
everything.
Or some sort of an art piece in the sense that you could fool around with that color and just do something kind of interesting.
Wilkes says, in my portfolio, I have this beautiful picture of the Field of Dreams in Iowa.
I've seen that.
And Terry says, brilliant. Bobby,
Can I see those?
Sure.
Okay, so they're in the 328 folder, so.
You know what I could do? I could have a JPEG sent to high res.
I want to try that as a cover. This is beautiful. Could put type in that. It's sort of, it's unconscious, or it's like it's subliminal, but it's very strong. Especially if it's identifiable or whatever it probably would be. We just have to look at it as if. Would that be okay?
Yeah, you could. Do you want to do it in the tunnel thing, or just as it's?
I just want to look at it by itself.
Yeah. Right.
But it'll be that, that, into that, but it will be a baseball diamond.
Right.
And you will see the corn, and people can tell kind of what it is. And
right.
We put that logo, and then just that. What do I do with this scrapbook? Let's try that.
But the managing editor's shift to a simple photograph is not a consensus. Wilkes and the art department are making a last pitch for their photo illustration.
Less significant. It's
You're talking about
the background.
Bleachers and
Yeah.
everything?
What you were thinking about, because you drop it down even lower, so it's so if you keep going, we'll just add Skype here because we're gonna put the logo. We need a lot of room on top for.
I'll tell you though, the more I'm looking at this and thinking, this is something that I'm sure we can use another time. But I just love that Field of Dreams picture. It's so beautiful, and that's exactly what we need.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Sorry.
The Field of Dreams picture, which was painterly and ephemeral and romantic, is now too much of all of those things. We want something with a harder edge. The picture was taken, and there's a mist that kind of came through, which Stephen waited 35 days to shoot, which is what made this whole thing attractive to begin with. And now, because it looks soft, it looks like a painting. He doesn't want a painting on the cover. He wants a picture on the cover, but it doesn't look like a picture, or it looks like something that.
It's too pretty for me.
Well, it's too soft, is what it is right now.
Like that soft cat's toying with flowers sentimentalism that we want to be going against, even as we're playing into it. And that
Okay,
has to do with
so in other words, you know that it's real, even though if the perception is that it looks like as if it's been shot through a soft filter. Okay,
Yeah.
well, then let's try to make this thing look right for you. Because now I got Steve looking for a harder edged version of the same thing, and the imaging department's trying to sharpen things so it doesn't look like a painting. He is sending us one that is a little sharper in every way.
Sunday
So-
night, Wilkes transmits another version of the Field of Dreams picture.
That it was taken at night, so it has a whole other look to it. And that's going to be the surprise in the morning.
Have you seen it yet?
Yeah, I love it. I actually think it's much cooler from where we were. And so we had two versions this morning, okay, and then he's still not quite sure that's where he wants to go. And I said, well, you want to get the McGuire things up? And he said, no, I want to go with this picture, but I want to fix the type, and now we're going to maybe try to work something in imaging so it doesn't look so painterly, okay, and more like a picture. So that's where we are with that. But there was a kind of, what are we doing now? What is going to be our cover? Okay, like I said, it's Monday morning. It's a whole different atmosphere in here. which of course on a Monday morning is right where we normally are.
The one on the left, this is the original, left, and this is the final. So what we've done is desaturated the foreground.
Desaturated.
Yeah. What the problem the managing editor had with the original was that it almost has an unphoto quality to it. It's a almost like an illustration, and he wanted it to appear more as a real photograph. And as it was shot, it has a almost a photo illustration quality to it, even though it's an actual photograph. So part of the problem with the photograph is that the foreground is highly saturated. So we dropped the saturation on the foreground, darkened it somewhat, so it has a much more realistic feel. And then the dramatic sky we've kind of opened up and lightened, so that, for two reasons. One, again, is to get some of that surreal quality out of it, and secondly, for the layout of this for type readability. And what we have here are two type versions. One with the blue logo, and one, what they're doing is they put a red logo in, both for two reasons. One is to play off the 16, so there's a kind of, and second, to see if that brighter logo pops out a little bit more.
Now, just 3 hours before the deadline, the managing editor wants minor changes to the cover.
Let's get a caption that says Field of Dreams photograph by Stephen Wilson. Yeah. And put it on the cover. And then we'll fake it in a photo credit.
Do you think it'd be something neat even to have like right under Gary Smith and feel, you know?
I'd look at it, but maybe not. I'd like to see Broken Dreams bigger. I'd like to see, when that gets bigger, I'd like to see what happens if we invade all the way down to there. And we run type over all of it. And see how that works out. As well as the shorter way.
At 7 p.m., the final cover is transmitted to the printing company. If the staff had missed the deadline by as much as an hour, it could have cost thousands of dollars.
So, that's still there? Yeah. So cover's done.
How do I feel? Like I feel about every cover at 7 o'clock on Monday. Glad it's done. I don't know. We went around and around. We came back to where we started, and I think it's fine. I think it goes very well with Gary's story, and I think it's something unexpected because his story is not exactly on the news, but has a little bit more cerebral feeling to it. And I know some people hate it, and including George, but it's what we did.